Hello and welcome. I am Pranay Upadhyay and you are watching Namaste World, your daily window into the biggest stories shaping India and the world. We begin in South Asia. Long queues outside LPG agencies and rising cylinder prices have sparked panic across India amid fears of cooking gas shortage. In Europe, Spain has openly criticized U.S. strikes on Iran, refusing American forces access to key military bases on its territory. Back in West Asia, massive fires from Israel strikes on Iranian oil depot have triggered toxic rain fears over Tehran. And the biggest news of the day, Russia says Vladimir Putin has proposed mediation options for the Iran war after discussing the conflict in a phone call with U.S. President Donald Trump. All that and more. Global flashpoints, power plays and the stories that matter. Coming up in this edition of Namaste World. Russia says President Vladimir Putin has offered several proposals to help mediate the ongoing war involving Iran. And according to Kremlin, those options are still on table. Kremlin spokesperson Dmitry Peskov said Moscow has been ready to assist from the very beginning of the crisis, even before the conflict entered its military phase. However, he added that any mediation effort would require agreements from multiple sides and could take time. The remarks come a day after Putin had a phone call with US President Donald Trump, where the two leaders discussed the Iran conflict as well as the war in Ukraine. According to the Kremlin, Putin shared proposals during the phone call aimed at ending the Iran war quickly. Trump later told reporters that Putin wants to be helpful in resolving the crisis, but he added that Russia could be even more helpful by ending the Ukraine war. Russia, which maintains a strategic partnership with Iran, has condemned the US and Israeli strikes on Tehran. At the same time, rising global oil prices triggered by the conflict have also benefited Russia's energy exports. For now, Moscow appears keen to position itself as a potential mediator, while carefully balancing its geopolitical interests. Across India, long queues outside LPG agencies and rising cylinder prices have sparked fears of a cooking gas shortage. The panic comes as the Iran war drives global oil prices higher and supply concerns spread. While restaurant warns of shutdown, the government insists there is no shortage. So, is India really facing a LPG crisis? Here's a report by Shaurik Saha.
Across parts of India, panic is spreading over a possible shortage of cooking gas. But is there really a crisis? As the war involving Iran enters its 10th day, rising global oil prices have triggered fear among consumers across the country. Social media is flooded with videos showing long queues outside LPG agencies, with people clutching empty cylinders and waiting for hours hoping to secure a refill. Scenes like these have emerged from cities and towns across India, from Noida in Uttar Pradesh to rural villages in Sitapur, where residents say deliveries are being delayed and prices are rising. Last week, the price of a domestic LPG cylinder increased by 60 rupees, pushing the cost in Delhi to over 900 rupees. Commercial cylinders have also become more expensive, adding to the anxiety. The ripple effects are already being felt. Restaurants in Maharashtra and Karnataka warn they may soon be forced to shut down if supplies don't improve. In Pune, even gas-based crematoriums have temporarily suspended operations due to supply concerns. But the central government insists that there is no actual shortage. Petroleum Minister Hardeep Singh Puri says India remains in a very comfortable position with enough LPG and crude reserves to meet demand for nearly a month. Officials say supplies are also being secured from countries such as the UAE, Algeria, Australia, Canada and the United States. To prevent hoarding and stabilize supplies, the government has stepped in with precautionary measures. Oil refineries have been ordered to maximize LPG production, and the minimum waiting period between cylinder bookings has been increased from 15 to 25 days. Authorities say these steps are meant to ensure that every household continues to receive cooking gas without disruption. For now, the queues outside gas agencies may be driven more by panic than by an actual shortage. But with the conflict in West Asia continuing to push global energy markets into uncertainty, the situation remains one to watch closely. With Shaurik Shah, Bureau Report, India Today Global.
As the United States expands its military strikes on Iran, most European leaders are trading carefully to avoid a direct clash with Washington, D.C. But Spain has taken a dramatically different path. Prime Minister Pedro Sanchez has openly criticized the strikes and denied U.S. access to Spanish bases. Is Spain now leading Europe's resistance? Here is a report by Farhan Khan.
While many European leaders are carefully balancing their response to US strikes on Iran, Spain has taken a very different approach. Prime Minister Pedro Sanchez has openly criticized the US military action and even refused to allow American forces to use Spanish bases to support the strikes. The decision has triggered a sharp clash with Donald Trump. Spain hosts major US military facilities at Rota and Moron in the country's south. When Madrid said those bases could not be used for operations linked to the Iran strikes, tensions escalated quickly. Trump threatened to cut off trade with Spain and even suggested the US could use the bases anyway.
Spain has been terrible. In fact, I told Scott to cut off all dealings with Spain. Spain, first of all, it started when every European nation, at my request, paid 5%, which they should be doing. And everybody was enthusiastic about it, Germany, everybody. And Spain didn't do it. And now Spain actually said that we can't use their bases. And that's all right. We could use their base if we want. We could just fly in and use it. Nobody's going to tell us not to use it. But we don't have to. But they were unfriendly. And so I told him, we don't want to. Spain has absolutely nothing that we need other than great people. They have great people. But they don't have great leadership. And as you know, they were the only country that in NATO would not agree to go up to 5%. I don't think they would have agreed to go up to anything. They wanted to keep it at 2%, and they don't pay the 2%. So we're going to cut off all trade with Spain. We don't want anything to do with Spain.
But Pedro Sanchez did not back down. Within a day, he appeared on national television with a clear message. Spain will not support what he called reckless and illegal attacks. He said his government would not become complicit in a conflict that goes against Spain's values and interests. Sanchez also accused the US of playing Russian roulette with the lives of millions and suggested some leaders use wars to distract from domestic failures.
Debemos aprender de la historia y no podemos jugar a la ruleta rusa con el destino de millones de personas. Las potencias involucradas en este conflicto deben cesar inmediatamente las hostilidades y apostar por el diálogo y la diplomacia. Y los demás debemos actuar con coherencia, defendiendo ahora los mismos valores que defendemos cuando hablamos de Ucrania, de Gaza, de Venezuela o de Groenlandia. Porque la pregunta no es si estamos o no a favor de los ayatolás. Nadie lo está. Desde luego no lo está el pueblo español y por supuesto tampoco el gobierno de España. La pregunta, en cambio, es si estamos o no del lado de la legalidad internacional y por tanto de la paz.
Spain's position stands out because most European leaders have tried to avoid directly confronting Washington. Countries such as Germany, Italy, and the United Kingdom have walked a diplomatic tightrope, offering limited cooperation while still trying to avoid being drawn fully into the conflict. For example, UK Prime Minister Keir Starmer eventually allowed US bases in Britain to be used for defensive operations, even after initially rejecting the request. Sanchez, however, has taken a far firmer stance. Part of the reason may be domestic politics. His coalition government is fragile, and opposing US military action resonates with many Spanish voters. Public opinion in Spain is strongly skeptical of Trump, with polls suggesting his popularity in the country is extremely low. There are also economic risks. Spain and the United States have strong ties. Millions of American tourists visit each year, and companies like Amazon are investing billions in the country. Still, Spain's economy is large and diversified, and most of its trade is with the European Union rather than the US. For Sanchez, the confrontation may be a gamble, but also a political opportunity. By challenging Washington so openly, he positions himself as a leader willing to stand up to pressure from abroad, even if it means taking on one of the world's most powerful countries. With Farhan Khan, Bureau Report, India Today Global.
As Israeli strikes hit Iranian oil depot near Tehran, massive fires have filled the skies with toxic smoke. triggering warning of dangerous acidic rain falling over the capital. Scientists say pollution carries carcinogenic particles and heavy metals that could harm people for years. Is Tehran facing an environmental disaster as well? Here is a report by Jyoti Shukla.
Weren't we promised there would never be another Hiroshima? That is the question Iran is asking the world as American and Israeli bombs continue to fall on its cities. On the morning of March 8th, millions of Iranians in Tehran did not wake up to sunlight. They woke up coughing. The night before, Israeli forces struck multiple Iranian oil storage depots in Tehran, Al-Bors and Karaj. Fuel leaked into the streets, fires raged, and a thick black cloud swallowed the capital.
ببینید اگر شما صبح می اومدی میدیدی که تمام تهران مملو از دود بود، یعنی آلودگی شدیدی که ایجاد میکنه برای حتی تنفس. حالا اونه که
What was falling from that sky wasn't just rain. It was something scientists are calling far more dangerous than conventional acid rain, a toxic cocktail born from burning oil. So what exactly happens when an oil depot burns? When oil burns, it releases sulfur dioxide and nitrogen dioxide into the atmosphere. These gases react with water vapor in clouds, forming sulfuric acid and nitric acid. That acid then falls back to earth as rain. But in Tehran, scientists warned this was far worse than conventional acid rain. This black rain carried hydrocarbons, cancer-causing compounds called polycyclic aromatic hydrocarbons, ultra-fine toxic particles and heavy metals, all raining down on homes, cars, streets and people. Iran's Red Crescent warned this rainfall was, quote, highly dangerous and acidic, capable of causing chemical burns to skin and severe respiratory damage. Short-term headaches, breathing difficulties, chest tightening. Children, the elderly, pregnant women hit hardest. Long-term, these ultra-fine particles enter the bloodstream. Scientists link them to cancers, heart disease, neurological damage, and complications in pregnancy. And once this toxic rain reaches rivers and reservoirs, it poisons drinking water for years.
من دارن یا حتی مردم عادی این دود بسیار خطرناکی هست و میتونه تاثیرات منفی زیادی داشته باشه، رو محیط زیست میتونه تاثیر داشته باشه. خساراتش خسارات جبران ناپذیریه که متاسفانه رژیم صهیونی و آمریکا اصلا با تمام مطالبی که دارن میگن که کذب محض مشخص کردن که همه مقررات و قوانین رو زیر پا میذارن.
The embassy of Iran in Tokyo drew a direct parallel to August 6, 1945, where a mushroom cloud over Hiroshima produced a black radioactive rain that quietly killed thousands for decades to come. 80 years later, the embassy wrote, Tehran and its people are experiencing an acidic rain whose future consequences are unknown.
قرار گرفته که این خلاف کنوانسیون های ژنو و مقرراتی هست که خودشون مصوب کردن و قانون گذاشتن، اما آمریکا و رژیم صهیونی ثابت کرد که به هیچ قواعد و قانونی پایبند نیست.
The bombs may stop, but the poison in the air, in the water, in the bodies of ordinary Iranians, that may linger for a generation. With Jyoti Shukla, Bureau Report in Net Today Global.
As we wrap up today's show, here's a quick look at the top stories making waves around the world. Two Greenpeace activists stormed the stage at a global nuclear summit in France, interrupting President Emmanuel Macron while protesting nuclear power and Russian uranium imports. European Union Council President Antonio Costa says Russia is the only winner from the Middle East war, as rising energy prices and shifting attention weaken global focus on Ukraine. And that brings us to the end of today's edition of Namaste World. From breakthrough in technology and business to political developments and natural disasters. Stay tuned as we bring you the latest updates, key developments and more from New Delhi to New York. See you again tomorrow, same time, right here on Namaste World.